Hi everybody, I'm Cole and I wanted to talk about 6-speed manual swapping a BMW E38. You may have seen my video that I posted where I did kind of a build breakdown of my car, but I wanted to go more in depth with the actual 6-speed swap itself because I like educating and I think I would like to see more manual swapped cars. So I've got my phone here because I had done a write-up of this whole swap and I'm just going to kind of use that as my script basically. So follow along with me here and we'll kind of go through everything. This is going to be a rundown of the mechanical side of things. There are a couple of different ways that you can wire up the car, and I'm not going to go over that because there are discrepancies in things like that you could wire it up a couple of different ways and it can still work. But also the way that I wired my car up, it works great. Everything is perfect. Everything is OEM. But like, for example, I wired in a clutch switch so that I would need to push the clutch in to start the car. And I can start my car without it. Don't know why, but that's why I don't necessarily feel like I'm qualified to talk about the wiring side of things, because that was the part that I struggled with the most. There were a couple of guys from the forums and the E38 Empire group that had helped me. But yeah, the wiring part of it feels like I kind of cobbled it together a little bit based on different information from different posts, but it works. My cruise control works, my backup lights work, all of that. You know, I can try and help a little bit if somebody wants to DM me, but for the most part, you know, I would like to stay away from that side of things. Anyway, whether you have a 740 or a 740IL, this is pretty much going to be all the same minus a couple of different things. First of all, the 740IL has a longer rear section of the drive shaft, but the front section of the drive shaft, because it's a two-piece drive shaft in an E38, it's the same length in the front section, whether you have a 40i or a 740IL. That front section is going to need to be extended 88 millimeters, okay? The 420G manual transmission is shorter than the automatic that came in these cars, so that's why you have to lengthen it. As far as the flywheel and clutch assembly goes, this is what you'll need to do. Your car will have an M62 engine, which has the crankshaft position sensor on the bell housing at the bottom, at the back of the, like at the back of the engine, on the bottom of the transmission bell housing. S62s, for example, they have their, and also M60s, they have their crankshaft position sensor at the front of the engine, and it basically reads off of the crank pulley. So if you were to put an M5 flywheel in, the car will not be able to read where the engine is at in its rotations, and it will not start. So you need to use an E39 540i flywheel. Now, I personally ran an M5 clutch kit. So E39 540 flywheel, E39 M5 clutch kit, and that's, you know, the clutch disc, the pressure plate, the throwout bearing, the fork, all of that. So whatever clutch system you're going to use, other than the flywheel, whatever clutch system you're going to use, you're going to need to match up those parts. Whether it's a 540 or an M5, use all of the same parts of those. My document has literally all of the part numbers that you would need to do that. Also the slave cylinder as well, because first I used a 540 slave cylinder and I wasn't really getting an effective clutch engagement, and it was like if this was the floor in my car and the clutch pedal is getting pushed, it was literally, I mean, like right here is when the clutch would disengage instead of, like, you know, up here. So I would have to push the clutch all the way in, and then right here, that's about how much movement I had before it was all the way done. So as you can imagine, it was very touchy and it wasn't good. So I swapped to an M5 slave cylinder, much better. The master cylinder is going to have to be one of two things. If you want it to be a bolt-in affair, it needs to be a 1997 540i master cylinder. It is a direct bolt-in to the E38 pedal box, okay? The E38 pedal box has a metal, what do you call it? Like a pivot shaft that sticks out that you would then slide your clutch pedal onto, and then it pivots off of that point. So it already has a spot for a clutch pedal. So that part is super easy. The only painful part about this process, The most painful part of this process is getting that clutch or that pedal box out, because you have your parking lever on there, parking brake lever on there, and your brake pedal, and it's under the carpet, up under the dash. It is an absolute nightmare to get it out. You have to take out the accelerator pedal, you have to unhook the parking brake cable from the assembly. It is just a nightmare, and getting it back in, Godspeed. There is a long aluminum shifter support arm that is under the car in the transmission tunnel, right underneath where the shifter is. There's a bushing that arm has to basically slide into, and that bushing is held in place by a metal mount that is tack welded to the bottom of the car. 740i E38s have that mount, but 740iLs do not. So you have a couple of options there. Technically, your easiest option is to use a chassis mount shifter that doesn't really use that arm. So basically, the shifter assembly itself would actually mount to the transmission tunnel, and usually there will be a plate on the bottom that basically sandwiches it. It sandwiches the transmission tunnel metal, and that's what holds your shifter in place. And then you just have your linkage that comes through, and then that connects to the transmission like it normally would. That's the easiest way to go about it. Your other option is to find one of those mounts, the metal mount, and actually either epoxy it, JB weld it, or physically weld it to the bottom of your transmission tunnel if you have a 740iL. If it was my car and I was going to do this swap and I had an IL, I would just get a chassis mount shifter. I wanted my car to have as much of an OEM feel as possible. I wanted it to feel nice and smooth, and I didn't want any sort of like race car feel to it, so that's why I didn't go with the chassis mount shifter. Also, chassis mount shifters can kind of be expensive depending on what you go with, unless you go with like an eBay one. But again, that's up to you. Your other option for the clutch master is to use the like 1998 or newer E39 one, but you will have to modify the pedal box itself. Like you have to cut some things and clearance some things in order to give it the proper travel, I guess. I haven't done it myself. I found a NOS, new old stock, 1997 master, because I wanted it to be as much of a bolt-in affair as I could. So that's what I did. I have a couple of friends who did modify theirs, so I could ask them and see what really needs to be done. And as far as I know, it's not super difficult. So I guess if mine ever goes out, I'll probably have a hard time finding another 1997 one. So I'll probably end up having to do that. The brake fluid reservoir has a port or a nipple on it already that is closed off, but that's for clutch fluid. So BMW really made this as easy as possible for you. You don't need to change the reservoir or anything at all. So your brake system can actually stay closed. What you do need to do though, however, is you're going to need to basically, you're gonna have to drill a hole through the firewall, and then you're gonna have to run a rubber hose. There is an official BMW part number for it, but you're gonna have to run a rubber hose from your clutch master up through the firewall to that port that's on the brake fluid reservoir, and then hook it up. So really what you're gonna need to do is get your pedal assembly all together with your clutch pedal and everything, put that rubber line on it and hook it up, but leave it hanging there. Then when you go to put the pedal box in, before you can finally get it all up where you need to go, you need to fish that line up through the firewall and just have it up there. Then you can bolt your pedal box in. Then you just need to be ready. You grab that rubber line up there, and you literally just take like a scissors or like a wire snips, and you just cut the end off of that nipple that's on the brake fluid reservoir, and then just quickly put the line on there. So you just try to lose as little fluid as possible. But literally, I mean, it's there waiting for you to do it. So BMW wants you to 6-speed swap your E38. As far as the clutch line from the master to the transmission, you can either get OEM 540i lines, and they do fit, or you can do what I do, which was actually a much easier and cheaper option. And I just went to Chase Bays and I bought an E46 slave cylinder, master cylinder clutch line. It literally bolted in. I mean, it uses the exact same style of connector on both ends that an E46 does. So it went right in there. It's stainless steel, it's nice, it's braided. I had a little extra, so I just kind of looped it under the carpet and then just ran it down to the, there's a hole already there underneath the accelerator pedal. So I just ran it right down there and hooked it up to the slave, easy as pie. As far as the brake pedal goes, it's gonna be in the way. If you're gonna try to push both pedals in, clutch and brake at the same time, your brake pedal is gonna be in the way unless you cut it to match the size and design of the clutch pedal itself. And you'll need to buy 2 rubber clutch pedal pads. So just take a grinder and just literally cut your brake pedal down till it fits and just put that rubber pad on there, and then it looks OEM. Shifter assemblies. So you remember that long aluminum shifter support arm that I was talking about? Oh well, assuming that you're going to use the OEM one and not use a chassis mounted shifter, then what you'll need to do is actually cut that down. So you're going to extend your shift linkage and then cut down, shorten your shifter support arm. So the support arm is aluminum and it's a heck of a lot easier to cut it shorter. So what you're going to want to do is get a 530i shifter support arm. I got a brand new one. I think it was $30 maybe. Cut it down until there's a bushing that mounts it to the transmission. Then there's quite a distance, and then you're going to have your shifter assembly that goes up through into the car. The center point of the bushing and the center point of the shifter assembly, or the ball, the cup, whatever you want to call it, needs to be 362 millimeters. I think the 531 is it's over 400. So you'll need to cut a good section out of it, shorten it, have it welded, and then it will fit perfectly and be the proper distance to put the shifter in. The shift linkage itself, I didn't use a 531. I actually used a 541 because it's what I could find, and then I extended it by 15 millimeters. It's steel, so it's a lot easier to extend. So 15 millimeters longer on the shift linkage itself that hooks to the bottom of the shifter arm. So that's what's going to give you your movement. And the shifter support arm, cut it down center to center, 362 millimeters. You can use the 540i or M5 shifter, the actual vertical shifter rod, I guess you want to call it itself. Or you can do what I did. If you get an E60 545i shifter arm, then it will pretty much be a factory short shifter. They are kind of spendy. I want to say it was $175 or something when I bought mine. It might be more now, but worth it in my opinion. I think it's nice. I'm running a ZHP weighted shift knob on mine, but I'm having the issue with it like I've had in all my BMWs, where the shift knob just loves to come off on a 1 to 2 shift. It will just come off, literally just pop right off, because it uses that, you push it down and then slam it down, that kind of clip style. Hate that, BMW, if you're listening to me, I hate that. Doesn't matter, they're getting rid of manuals anyway. So I'm debating on going with an aftermarket shifter with an adapter, something that looks nice, but still I don't want to lose my nice OEM looking shifter. I'm getting old, but we'll see. I might change it up a little bit, we'll see. Transmission fluid, you can run MTF or ATF. Some transmissions are labeled as one or the other. I originally ran MTF, BMW MTF, manual transmission fluid, in mine. I didn't really like the cold weather behavior. It was really notchy, I guess I would call it, when the car was cold. And I'm not talking actual cold weather, I mean cold starts. I switched over to Liqui-Moly ATF, and it's smoother. It feels better on a cold start, and while driving I feel like it does shift a little bit better too, even when it warms up. The other thing that's nice about the 6-speed swap is you can ditch the whole cooling system that is tied to the automatic transmission. So there's an ATF cooler It's mounted right up by it's mounted right near the alternator on the M62. You can ditch that transmission cooler and all of the cooling lines associated with it. You just plug the back of the alternator, you put a plug in the bottom of the radiator, and then you just change the lower radiator hose to one that doesn't have a branch coming off of it to go to that ATF cooler. So you get a little bit more peace of mind knowing that you're simplifying things and getting rid of some probably old cooling parts as well. So let's summarize everything basically. You can pretty much use 99% OEM BMW parts on everything. I would recommend a Chase Bays clutch line just to simplify things. You'll need to extend your front drive shaft, front section of your drive shaft 88 millimeters, extend the 540i shift linkage 15 millimeters, shorten a 530i shifter support arm down to 362 millimeters. You can ditch the ATF cooler stuff, and you can run whatever clutch setup you want as long as it is compatible. Overall, this swap was pretty straightforward. Again, the wiring was just the thing that really got me. There's not really one complete wiring diagram or anything online. There's a few different sources that I had to source my info from and then actually ask the authors for clarification on a few things, but I do appreciate their help. I'm sorry I'm not going to be very helpful in that aspect, but again, the link to my document will be in the description of this video, and I hope you check it out. Feel free to PM me if you have any questions or DM me. I'm always happy to help, and I want to see more 6-speed swapped cars out there because driving manual transmission is cool, and anybody who says otherwise is a dork. I hope you support the channel. Please subscribe. I really appreciate it. I'm just getting into this YouTube thing, and I'm probably not too good at it yet, but I'm trying to get there. Maybe someday I'll have a whole fleet of cars that I can make videos on, but for now it's just me and my old hoopty. Thanks again.